guys, Sarah here from Highland Haven Australian Shepherds and Highland Haven Dog Training, and welcome to Season 4 of Dog for Thought. Joining me is my co-host, daughter, and dog trainer extraordinaire, Sophie.
Hi, everyone.
So it's been a while. We were trying to remember the last podcast, which is what? Probably early May, right before summer got here?
Yes.
Summer the person?
Yes.
So that was a long time ago. A lot has happened since May.
A lot.
We had a dramatic summer.
Yes. It was negative, but also positive. It was a weird
It was a net
summer.
positive.
Yeah. The positive somewhat kind of made up for the negative a little bit. Well, because the negative all turned out okay. If it was the negative actually ended up being bad, then it would have been the worst summer ever.
Okay, so Summer the person, who is Gary's grandniece, she came to us from college and stayed the whole summer with us, and then helped us with the dog training and our own dogs and the puppies and all of that.
Yes, super helpful.
So she came like middle of May, and then I guess the beginning of June. So Journey was pregnant during those first 2 weeks that she was here, and then the beginning of June, your dad, Gary, had needed open bypass surgery, open heart surgery. Mm-hmm. Suddenly.
Yep.
Had some heart issues, and they decided that they needed to do a double bypass on him, which was,
Shocking.
really shocking.
Yes.
So that was the beginning of June. So he was in the hospital for a week before he got the surgery, and then a week after he got the surgery.
And then came home and went back for 3 days.
Well, no, that he was only in the hospital 5 days then, and he came back and then went back. So he was in the hospital basically for a week, 8 days or something after the surgery. Mm-hmm. He came home, I think, on a Tuesday, and Journey went into labor that night.
Yes, literally, he came home, and thank God he briefly went back because he wasn't 100%, and then when he came back, he was
Much
95%. Yeah. There was only a couple of things we really needed to help him with. Thank God, because it was the most dramatic labor we've ever had.
Yeah, it was pretty upsetting.
Yeah.
So he came home. He was upstairs in the bedroom. Because he had gone back for an extra 2.5 days or something. By the time he came home, he was really quite capable. Thank goodness.
Yes.
Journey went into labor that night. I spent the night with her. And
she was not having her very normal labors. Usually Journey immediately has her water break, and then within 5 to 10 minutes, if not sooner than that, a couple puppies pop out. And her water broke, and it took with an hour to an hour and a half before we saw any puppies come out whatsoever. And then once they started moving, they started coming out, and we started feeling better about the process. She was able to deliver 6 puppies with no issues, very regular.
So she was in labor.
And then we had Kent and Petey. They both had, Kent had both bent legs. Petey just had one bent leg.
Let's define that. So people who didn't follow it or didn't see that story. So sometimes when puppies are in utero, they have poor placement for whatever reason. They get cramped up in where they are in the uterus. And these 2 puppies, their back legs were tucked up underneath them. For whatever reason, they didn't have room in there. And so the tendons and ligaments sort of stretch on one side of the leg and are contracted on the inside. Mm-hmm. So they were both pointed, or I guess Petey had one leg pointed and Ken had both legs sort of severely, almost a 90-degree angle pointed in.
Yeah, which was kind of shocking looking at them. We're like, oh my goodness. And we already had a traumatic experience with Cole, but luckily, when we were looking at them, both legs looked even. They didn't look abnormally small. And with Cole, his leg looked like it wasn't fully developed.
So Cole was a puppy from several litters back.
Yeah, it was Twiggy's litter. It was just him and Twiggy.
And so he had poor uterine placement. So this is a different dam, different sire, completely different bloodline. So this just happens sometimes. His leg, I think something got wrapped around it because it actually didn't grow. It was missing pieces. These puppies, their legs were equal length.
Yes.
So we were hoping that they had the complete interior anatomy of those legs. And then at that point, it's just a matter of letting them use them, would do their own PT by moving around and starting to use them. And we just gave them time to do that. So that ended up turning out fine.
Yes.
Spoiler alert, it turned out fine.
Yep.
By 3 weeks, they looked almost completely normal. And by the time they left, they were really normal.
Yeah, we honestly, the last 2 weeks, I forgot they had bent legs, and then I couldn't figure out who had bent legs.
Yeah.
So
that worked out well.
Thank God.
So we delivered 6 puppies, and then that was about midnight, I think. And then I sent you and Summer to bed because I was like, she's in a labor pause, so I don't know how long this is going to last. I'll just deliver the last 2 puppies on my own. Because we figured the x-ray showed 7. I figured she had 8 in there. And by the morning, I'd woken up, and she woke me up about 5 a.m. pushing, and I was like, okay, good. This is the last 2 puppies, and nothing happened. So I don't want to go into great detail about that whole night because the whole experience was so traumatic for me, because it was traumatic for Journey. But we ended up taking her to the emergency vet very quickly in the process, very soon in the process, because I just had a gut feeling that she was not going to be able to deliver these 2 puppies. And we ended up, we went to our regular emergency vet, who was great, but they weren't able to do the surgery until 4 hours later. The 2 puppies inside her were well. They had good vitals. So they wanted her to have her C-section sooner than 4 hours. So they sent us down to another place, which is Cornell University Vet Services in Stanford, and they were absolutely horrific. The staff there was just awful. They were awful to me. They were awful to Journey. They ended up just sticking us in an exam room and ignoring us for hours. And I had to beg for them to care for her. So by the time she got on the table, it was, well beyond what we would have been done with the surgery already at Katona. So it was a very upsetting experience.
Yeah, meanwhile, me and Summer were at home trying to get all these bottles made and stuff, because we had 6 puppies on the ground who needed to be fed every 3 hours. And by the time you got back, you were so worn out from trying to save Journey's life when these veterinary staff would not help you at all, that you were so burnt out that me and Summer took over the shift, and Jacob, and we all just try to feed 2 puppies at a time.
Meanwhile, Dad is upstairs.
Yeah. Recovering from open heart surgery. So right. Yeah, it was super dramatic.
So I couldn't share anything with him because I didn't want to upset him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a very upsetting day.
Yeah. And we actually did make a podcast about it and decided not to post it because it's just more damage for us.
It's just such a toxic
and
experience. I just don't want to relive it.
Yeah, and this podcast is supposed to be positive, and we want to keep it positive. And the thing that was, I think, most upsetting about it is we did everything right.
Yeah, we had plans in place. We brought her early on. It was just one of those things. Yeah. I don't really want to get into it.
No.
Suffice it to say that Cornell University Vet Services in Stanford is a piece of shit. And in my opinion, caused the death of those 2 puppies that were inside her and risked her life, risked Journey's life, and made her suffer for hours longer than was necessary. But overall, her surgery went well. She recovered very, very quickly, took care of the puppies coming back from surgery, just off the table, basically still partially anesthetized, came back and fed those puppies. So she was really a trooper.
She really, and she recovered so fast. It was so funny. She had a huge incision from the top of her milk bar all the way to the bottom of the milk bar. So pretty much she was completely cut open. And her incision healed faster than Dad's did. And so we were comparing their incisions. And one day we just because it's hidden within the milk bar, because, it was kind of nice because you couldn't lick it, because we were like, how are we going to have her with a cone on cleaning her puppies and have this huge incision that she's not allowed to lick? But luckily the milk bar kind of enclosed it. So she just did. And she was so hyperfixated on cleaning the puppies that she didn't itch it or anything. And so one day we just looked at it daily, and we just opened her milk bar, and it was all scabs, and you just scratched the scabs off, and it was completely healed within a week.
clean cloth, not
Yeah.
with my
Not
fingernails.
yeah, but
yeah,
like,
but I cleaned it and the scabs just all flaked off 5 days later.
yeah, it was crazy.
It was crazy.
Yeah, and meanwhile, like Dad's like, oh my chest.
Well,
but like I know he's like he's older, but like it was still pretty amazing.
No, it was. I've never seen an animal heal that quickly.
5 days. It was crazy.
Yeah, that was nuts.
Yeah.
So she did well, and she did a great job raising those puppies.
She
It
recovered.
was a tough litter though for me. We had the bent leg boys, which made me anxious watching them. Of course, Journey and her trauma, losing 2 puppies was very upsetting. Unnecessarily losing 2 puppies. Puppies die. Puppies are born sleeping. This is a normal part of breeding dogs. But those puppies did not need to die. It was needless.
No,
And it was their carelessness and lack of concern for the puppies inside her. They just didn't care. That was just not on their priority list. I mean,
nope.
They just didn't care if the puppies died.
And we got them both back, and they both had like pink noses and pink paws. So I just wonder if they just never even tried to revive them. They just let them die.
They were horrible.
But anyways, so that happened.
And then
they all had diarrhea, and
for a week straight.
Yeah, luckily they're very clean litter, so they would just actually go in the potty room. So imagine if they were like a dirty litter, it would just be shit everywhere.
But it was literal liquid diarrhea for a week straight.
Like
I could
shooting
not
out.
figure out what the hell was going on. Took stool sample in to be checked. There was no parasites. I treated them for coccidia, thinking it might be coccidia. I wormed them again for parasites, just in case that the sample I brought in just didn't happen to have any in there. And it was a full week before they started to come around. So that was worrisome too. Although the only thing that kept me sane was that the puppies were acting perfectly normal.
Yeah.
So it's like when puppies have diarrhea, you have to pair it with what's their demeanor.
And
Are they acting normal? They eating? Then don't worry about it.
And then literally right after that, then Bug got sick.
Then Bug got sick.
So it literally was drama the entire litter. And luckily the puppies is such a good litter of puppies. Like they weren't super barky or super stinky, and they used the bathroom, because if they were like anything out of the range of like perfect, besides them getting sick and all that stuff, which is, they can't control that. I mean, it was a good litter.
No, they were very, very sweet.
Yeah.
And then Bug, one of the puppies, got a botfly larva in his neck. So he presented as quite sick.
Yeah.
With a fever, lethargy, and I was like, oh my God. So I brought him straight to the vet, and they did blood work on him. There's nothing remarkable in the blood work. They put him on antibiotics just because they were like, maybe it's pneumonia. Of course, I didn't know if it was contagious, so I had to separate him from the litter. And I'm like, oh my God, what if the whole litter gets sick?
Yep.
So it was a week before they were going home. I was like, oh my God.
And then I went downstairs, and he was in a crate separate, and he was so like a sick baby animal of anything is just so sad, because they just have so much life when they're right about to go home, and he was just in there just so sad.
He wouldn't even lift his head.
He wouldn't even lift his head.
It was so painful to watch.
And so I went in there just to like see him and see how he was doing, and I was touching his neck, and I was like, why is this like a lump here? And then I lifted the fur, and I was like, he has a hole in his neck. Somebody punctured him. Who would have punctured him? At this point we hadn't really had them with the adults very much, and we watch them when they are with the adults, and it's very dramatic if something like that does happen. So we would have seen it. And so I looked at it, and I started squeezing on it, and it looked like pus was coming out. So I was like, let me go get Jacob. Jacob came downstairs, and he said, that's not pus, that's a larva. And so then we looked on. Jacob said he's done it at the vet a couple times. And so we just took some, Vaseline to drown it, and then suffocate it. And then when it came up for air, Jacob grabbed it with some tweezers. But you have to be careful not to pop it. If you're not a professional, definitely wouldn't recommend doing it to yourself. Definitely go to your local vet. But Jacob has done it before. So he grabbed it, and we were able to pull it out.
You want that to be, like, you can pull a tick out and it can come apart and it's not a big deal. But with a botfly larva, it has to come out intact, because it can make them very sick. So you guys were able to get that whole thing out in one piece, and it was still moving around.
Yeah,
like,
it was
totally alive.
It was so gross.
This is what nightmares are made of.
Yes.
I did not even know botflies existed in New York State.
I thought it was like a South thing.
Yeah, like South American thing. Like crazy, like Amazon thing.
Yeah,
I mean, I've seen them on TikTok. But
maybe Florida would have them, but I would not guess it was in
and then the
Northeast.
hole that left behind was significant.
Yep.
And on this little tiny puppy. But within hours of removing that, he started to
Play
improve rapidly.
And it was nice because then we knew that was a problem, so we can put him with the litter mates. And
So he'd lost weight. He was dehydrated because he didn't want to eat or drink. But he bounced back pretty quick. And in the end, he only ended up going home 1 day late.
Yeah.
Which was amazing. And the owners, the new owners were completely aware of what was going on. And they were very understanding and, very willing to like power feed him and give him time to recover. But he was pretty much back to normal when he went home.
Yeah. It was crazy how fast he lost weight, but then also how quick he put back on that weight too.
It was.
Which just shows you how fragile they are. I mean, it was a little tiny thing, but and then me and Jacob were talking about it. It's like such a little neck, so who knows? Maybe it was like pushing on his spinal cord or on his throat or something. So it probably was so uncomfortable, and it's moving in your neck. Ugh.
Yeah, no, it was really, really gross.
Oh, it was so gross.
So I'm glad he recovered from that. And then Kent stayed for an extra 11 days. He moved upstairs until the owners could get back from their vacation, which was planned before they decided to buy the puppy. So he stayed upstairs in the kitchen. Actually, it's always a lot of work to have the puppies, but he was just a lovely, easygoing, very biddable, easily housebroken puppy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Thank God
really
for that litter being such lovely puppies.
Really nice temperaments.
Because with all the negative things that happened, I don't know if we could have handled if they were like not perfect on top of all this drama.
It was a really sweet litter, but I was very glad to see Kent go and close the chapter on puppies, 2025 puppies for us.
Yeah. I mean, I think it goes without saying, like, that's why we have such, like, the maximum amount of litters we have is 2. Because for us, it's more of, like, enjoyment. Like, we enjoy having the puppies. We enjoy doing these things with the puppies. We enjoy giving people dogs like ours. Like, that's the whole point. But during that second litter, I was like, oh.
By the end of the second litter, we're tired.
We're so exhausted.
Burned out. It's tiring.
Yeah, I don't know how people have, like...
Even with summer here, it was really exhausting, and it was particularly hard on me, this litter.
Yeah.
And
then on top of that, we had so many training and boarding dogs, too, so it was just a lot.
It was a lot. It was a very busy summer, which we're grateful for.
Yep.
And then, of course, your dad was upstairs recovering, and he's done very, very well. He was very brave for his whole surgery. That's a tough surgery.
Mm-hmm. And he held it together because he had some crazy roommates too in that hospital.
Yeah, so he was in New York City in the hospital. I had to drive down there every day. He really handled it very well.
Yeah, it was a lot.
And he's going back to work. Coincidentally, he's going back to work tomorrow.
Yeah,
the day after we record this. So
yep,
he's all recovered and back to work.
And on top of this, right before summer left, Ruby started declining.
Yeah.
So that was whole drama too.
So Ruby is our oldest Aussie. Mm-hmm. She would have been 15 in December. Mm-hmm. So just shy of 15. Mm-hmm. She'd been declining for a while.
Yeah, but it was like the last week, it was one of those situations where I was noticing her declining, and then my girlfriend was like, "Oh, Ruby doesn't look so good." And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't like she would stand in the middle of my bedroom and start like swaying back and forth looking at like the corner of the wall." And I was like, "Oh, that's neurological. I don't really like that." And then you mentioned that she was getting like just making weird noises and just like being weird and not like walking up the stairs easily and stuff. And then Dad mentioned she didn't look good. So it was just like a series of us all noticing that she was severely declining. And then one night, she just could not settle. She has a hard time breathing in general, and she was just panting. And she always can usually settle.
I think she had been in congestive heart failure for the last year.
I think so too.
So a lot of heavy breathing,
a lot of wheezing, and so she was just standing in the middle of my room, just wheezing and breathing super heavy. And I thought maybe she had poop, because that's usually what happens, is she has to poop. So I brought her downstairs, and she did poop, had diarrhea, and I was like, okay, maybe that's it. Brought her back upstairs, was still doing the same thing, swaying in the middle of the room, whining and not being able to breathe. So I waited like 30 minutes and was like, oh, maybe she has to go again. So I brought her downstairs. She couldn't walk down the stairs.
This was like 2 or 3 in the morning.
Yeah, 2 or 3 in the morning. And she couldn't walk down the stairs, so I carried her down. She peed but didn't poop, and I thought that was unusual. And then I brought her up, and I decided to just stay upstairs with her because I was like, if she's, going to decline, I want to be there. I don't want to be sleeping. And plus, I couldn't sleep with her wheezing either way. So I just started watching Nat Geo Wild, and then she was just acting weird. So I was like, let me bring her downstairs again. And when I brought her downstairs, she definitely couldn't walk down the stairs, almost fell walking in general. Brought her downstairs. She just wandered around like she didn't know where she was outside. Carried her back upstairs. And when I put her down, she projectile vomited everywhere. And then as she did that, she had a neurological fit and looked like she was about to have a seizure and almost smacked into the walls. And I caught her and held her still. And then I went and got you and I said, I think Ruby's dying, because it was just very, the fact that she was unloading all of
her body was shutting down.
Yeah, her body was just shutting down. So then we went to our emergency vet. And
so that was about 3 in the morning.
3 in the morning.
So we could have waited until our vet opened up, 8:30, right? But I don't know. I just felt why does she have to suffer for the next several hours? Mm-hmm. So we took her back to Katona, our emergency vet. They were wonderful.
Wonderful, yeah.
You and I was sort of thought, in retrospect, we were we wonder if they thought we were weird because I just walked in and they said, can I help you? And I said, yeah, I have a dog who needs to be euthanized. They were like, okay. There's no discussion. No. I didn't want any advice. Mm-mm. This needed to be done. She was almost 15, which is very old for an Aussie. Yep. And she had a good long life.
And we already were kind of mentally preparing ourselves for sure the week prior, because she just was not.
She was definitely, her clock was ticking loud. Yeah. And I just, there's a saying that it's better a month too early than a day too late. I really believe that. Even if she could have had another month of quality of life, you're always risking a big traumatic event.
Well, my fear was that with her breathing, I thought she wasn't going to get enough oxygen and then have a major seizure and die in
she could
all
die
this pain
alone when you're not home.
Yeah.
Nobody deserves that.
If I could prepare, I don't know. I feel really good about it, because I feel no matter what you do, if you time it super early, you feel bad about it. If you time it too late, you feel bad about it. No matter what, you don't ever feel good about it. But I feel in this case, I feel we literally 3 nights prior, she was downstairs in the kitchen. Jacob had his girlfriend. I had my girlfriend. We were, Summer was here. We were all joking around, and she was milling around. And I think Poppy was here too. We were having and she was just having a great life. And that's what I want her last memory to be. I don't want her last memory to be in my room, bedridden, shitting herself.
Right.
Because I want her to live longer. Right. That's just not how we do this in our house. I want my last memory and her last memory to be as positive as possible. And peaceful. And I feel we did that. And
the emergency vet was, we could talk in a future episode about the current state of the veterinary industry, which I'm not pleased with. I know a lot of people aren't, because these big corporations are buying up these family-owned vets, and it's becoming very corporate. Mm-hmm. But in this case, I think it benefited us because they have a separate room specifically for euthanasia. They have a whole system in place. They only charged $267, which blew me away. I thought it was going to be $800 because it was in the middle of the night. It was an emergency vet.
Yep.
So we brought her in. They brought her in the back room. They put in her line in her leg. Mm-hmm. And then they bring her back into the euthanasia room, and there's a dog bed in there, and you can sit in there as long as you want. And when you're ready, you ring the bell. They come in. They put the sleeping stuff into the line, and they just go to sleep, and then they put the other, the heart-stopping medication, and it's very peaceful.
Very peaceful. And they had a nice bed for her, and they were very organized about it.
And you sit on the floor with them, and you're there with them. Mm-hmm. And, I will never understand people who don't stay with their dogs in that moment. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's hard. Mm-hmm. But this is what you signed up for. This is like your
Well,
last act of kindness is to be there with your dog.
you know, I'm probably gonna cry, but they dedicate their life to you, you know? And I just feel like the least you can do is be there during their dying day. And Ruby hates the vet, hates it. So the fact that I could like be with her and her last thought and vision was like to be in my arms
Sure.
is like means the world to me, means the world to her. And was it really hard? Yeah. But like this dog dedicated her entire life to us. She started everything. We wouldn't be in breeding, we wouldn't be doing Aussies. If she wasn't such a lovely puppy, we would have never had any more Aussies. You know, like she just started everything. And so like it was very emotional because it was like the end of like the beginning. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Of like she started all this. And even though like we never bred her in our breeding program, like she's the reason we have all these Aussies. And you know, I just wanted to honor her life. Yep. And I feel like we did. And I feel like I timed it right and I feel good about it. And
she didn't know. She didn't know she was about to die. All she knew was she felt good and went to sleep.
And like she could not fucking breathe. So like the vet came in and was just like, yeah, like let's give her this. And they have this little button and they're like, press the button when you're ready. And so like they came in and I was like, she it's ready. I'm ready. She's ready. Girl can't freaking breathe. She hates the vet. So the quicker I can rip the Band-Aid off, the better. We hit the button and the lady came and she's like, oh, we're not done.
We're not even ready. We're making your medication. We'll be right.
I was like, no worries. I just want to let you know that.
They probably thought we were weird, but.
Yeah, but I'm not playing with this. Like, this is very much so like she's suffering and dogs don't understand death, but they do understand pain. And the quicker I can take her out of the pain, the better it is for all parties. And then she came home with us and she's in the backyard and, I buried her, and we buried her with the 2 puppies.
Because we brought the 2 puppies that died from Journey's litter. We brought them home and had them in the freezer.
Yeah,
this whole time.
And
so
it's just too
I was
hot.
like, let's bury them with Ruby. So we buried the 3 of them together in the backyard.
Yeah, which I know Ruby is going to be really mad when I see her later. She's going to be like, "You buried me eternally with 2 puppies. I hate puppies." Which I thought was funny. But yeah, so they're all in the backyard.
She's buried in the backyard. Mm-hmm. Well, I thought that, you know, it went as well as could be expected. And, you know, I just feel very, very strongly about euthanasia. I really, really do. When it's done correctly in that kind of situation. And, you know, there was no conflict in us. That's the other thing. I think people think too much about how they feel about it. Ultimately, our job is to make her death peaceful. And we did that for her.
Yeah. So. And this was like my first dog that I had to euthanize because all the other dogs were like family dogs or like your dogs or Jacob's
and to be
dog.
fair, I've done this a lot. I've had many dogs over the last 50 something years. So I've done this a lot. And there's times it's been more traumatic, not so peaceful. In this case, it went well, and I'm glad she didn't have some horrible traumatic thing.
And I also felt like the last, you know, since we moved to this house, like we've talked about, I just felt like she didn't have the best quality of life. Like, yeah, she's 14 and she doesn't need to be, like, she can't walk anymore and she can't do this and all this stuff. But like, I mean, it was miserable her having to rotate with Twiggy, and then I just felt like I was divided between work.
So she couldn't be with the group because she had made some enemies within the pack. And she was also very fragile, very frail. So she couldn't be with other dogs. So that means she spent a lot of time alone in your room, which, you know, she slept most of the time anyway.
No, she was a big sleeper, but still.
But I didn't feel great about that either. That was not something that I felt good about. So, yeah, I think, you know, the euthanizing her, I felt good, for lack of a better word, because it aligned with my beliefs. Having her separated so much in the last year of her life doesn't really align with how I think things should go. So that wasn't great for her. Although ultimately she's an old dog. She just slept all day.
Well, and we were talking about like literally like, I think it was like the day before we euthanized her. We were just like, it was just one of those weird things like where we just brought her up on conversation we were at Jacob's birthday dinner, and we were just like, oh, she just had such a wonderful life, and we brought her on vacation with us, and we had all this like agility and things with her, and like we just did a lot with her. She's gone on more vacations than any other dog in this house.
Well, yeah, because she was, one of 3, I think, at the time.
Yeah. Well, and she went to work with you. Remember, she used to go to work, and she went to Clarkstown with you, and she went to the party rentals with you, like every day.
No, she had a good life.
She had a really good life. She went on vacation with me multiple times.
She had a good life and a good death.
Yeah. So,
we all should be so lucky.
Yeah.
So now we're down to 8 dogs. And our goal is to not add any dogs, because you are going to be moving out probably in less than a year. And Jacob will probably be moving out in the next 2 years.
Yeah.
And we have to sort of not add any dogs to our current numbers at the moment. So we'll see.
Yeah. It's sad, but we're definitely having a much older pack now. We can't really play fetch with them all together anymore because it's just too much for all the old dogs.
So now the oldest dog is Remy. She's 12. She's not as in good a shape as Ruby was at 12. So I don't think Remy's going to see almost 15.
She's very, has a lot of dementia.
She has declined considerably in the last year, but she
still looks good. You would never know.
She looks great, and she moves around fine. She just has a touch of dementia, so she gets a little confused about where she is.
Yeah, she gets stuck in places, and then
and
she starts barking at the dog, and you're like, girl, the door's open. Like,
And then Ty is... He will not see 14, Ty.
No. But Ty is one of those dogs who's been old forever. So he doesn't even feel like an old man, because he's been an old man.
He'll be 12 in December, so he's our next oldest.
Yeah.
And then I think it goes Meadow is 9, Vivi's 8, Deacon 6, Twiggy and Journey are 4.
4, yep. 4, 3.5, and Tula's almost 2. Is 2?
Tula is a year and a half.
Year and a half.
Yeah, she won't be 2 until January.
Okay.
So
she's a winter puppy.
End of January, I think. So from 1.5 all the way up to 12 now. So they've been good.
Yeah. It's sad, but you never feel good about it. But I feel pretty decent about it. And like, I think the only selfish thing I have about it is I'm so happy that she made it to this house, because I would be really, really upset if we had to bury her at the other house and I had to leave her there. Yeah. I would have felt really sad. So I'm happy she's at this house, and when I get sad, I just go down to her little rock down there and I just talk to her for a bit and come back upstairs.
So there's that. And then we bought a boat.
Yeah, we did buy a boat, which was really fun. And
So we bought this house not realizing that there were lake rights. And then when we found that out, not even knowing what the lake looked like, even though it's only a few hundred feet from our house.
It's like 300 feet from our house.
And so when we went paddleboarding in June,
I went paddleboarding alone.
And then
I said, we need a boat.
And I said, you're ridiculous. I'm not buying a boat. Give me a break.
And I said, no. And I kept talking about how much we need a boat and how convenient it is. And we have everything we need for a boat. We have the basketball court so we can put the boat, and it's not on our property. It's on our property, but it's like away from the main house, which was your concern. And then I was like, and we have slips, which is where you can dock the boat and then take it out. You don't have to take it in and out of the water every time you use it. And we have lake rights. And like, I was just listing all the things, and you were like, no, you're being ridiculous, blah, blah, blah. And then I took you paddleboarding, and we got back from paddleboarding.
I got on the lake, and I was like, oh my God, this is beautiful. We need a boat.
Yeah. And so we got a boat.
Well, really, ultimately, the only reason I agreed is because we can take the dogs on the boat.
Yes.
If I can take my dogs, I will do whatever you want me to do.
Yes.
So we swam then. We didn't get it in the water until late July. But we swam a lot. Summer loved to swim in the lake. And then we took the dogs out there.
And they love it. And yeah.
So that's been fun.
It's been wonderful having a boat.
Your dad hasn't been able to swim yet because he was still recovering. But next year he'll swim.
Yes. And yeah, it's just like it's been a learning curve, but
Yeah, we're total boat newbies. We don't know
Yeah.
anything about boats. So
No.
we had to get our boating license.
Yep.
And, like I say, if you let me bring the dogs, I'm all in.
Mhm.
So it's like having your own floating island.
Yeah.
We go out there and swim with them.
Yeah. And I was like, we don't even go on vacation, so might as well bring the vacation here.
Yeah.
Which was another
That's
one.
the other
where-
reason we need to not add any more dogs, because I need to actually be able to go on vacation
Yeah.
and not worry so much about the number of dogs that are here.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to be downsizing over the next couple of years. That doesn't mean I won't add a female, because I will have to. But we definitely won't be adding dogs. Probably not have another puppy for maybe 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, no, I'm not getting a dog anytime soon. If
and then,
anything, I
when
feel
you
like
move out, maybe you'll bring Twiggy with you in some regard, and then Jacob's going to move out and he'll take Meadow.
Yep.
So, and I'll be all alone. Oh, except your dad will be here and all the dogs.
and Summer.
And Summer will be
And
back.
Summer will be back. So it'll be fine.
So that's about it for the updates. Yes.
Mhm.
Are we missing
think-
anything major?
You missing anything?
We had a busy summer.
Yeah, it was crazy. But like, I think luckily everything worked out with Dad. Luckily everything worked out with Journey. Luckily everything worked out with the puppies.
Yeah, your
And we
dad
got a boat.
said to me when I was wringing my hands over the puppies, he said, everything that's happened this summer has had a happy ending.
Yes. Yes.
So, except for the 2 puppies, but aside from that, Journey not only survived the surgery but really recovered very quickly.
I mean-
and the puppies had their ups and downs, but ended up, being really positive. Daddy's surgery went really well. He is recovered fully. We've been through some tougher times, but fortunately they've all ended positive.
And training and boarding has been really good. I think
Yeah,
that
we've
would
been
be
super busy, which
yeah.
is, great. And
Yeah.
thank goodness Summer was here, because we really did need an extra hand.
Mhm.
So she was really helpful.
super helpful.
And
And she loved it.
yeah, well, that's the only reason she's here, because she's a dog lover.
Yeah, she loved it.
I wouldn't let just anybody come and live
Yeah.
here. They have to love dogs, because, we're dogs 24/7.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we've had a busy and eventful summer, but
It all ended, even though it was very dramatic, it all ended positively, thank God.
well, I guess maybe except not Ruby, but it was a positive
Well-
end of a really good life.
Yeah.
Look at it that way.
Yeah, that's how I see. I mean, it sucks, but And my friends are the best, because one of my friends made me like a little eventually I can make a little flower garden for Ruby down there. I'm gonna wait until next summer.
Mm-hmm.
And then my other friend painted me a photo of Ruby.
Mm-hmm.
And then my girlfriend made me like you could put her collar in it with her face on it.
Yeah, so you have
So
some-
I have some memorabilia. My mom's like, after this, you're going to have a shrine of Ruby. And I was like, yeah, I can't get any more things because it's going to turn into like a shrine. But it looks good now. So
No, it looks cute.
yeah.
Lots of memories on the wall
Mhm.
of Rubensky.
Yes. So
All right, so this season, we have some stuff lined up, some
We do.
topics lined up.
Mhm.
We'll actually do a topic next episode,
Mhm.
not just ramble
Yes.
about what's been going on in our lives. As always, we want to hear from our audience any questions or topics that they would like us to cover. If we
Mhm.
think we're qualified, we'll absolutely cover them.
Mhm.
But we'll be back next time with an actual topic, and we'll do season 4. I can't believe we're in season 4 already,
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
but it's fun.
Yep.
We love the podcast. It's just gets harder and harder to schedule it, because you guys are like bona fide adults with real lives.
Yeah.
So, and we're busy. The business is busy
Kicking
this
off.
time of
It's
year.
been doing good.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so can't complain.
Mm-mm.
All right, so maybe we should wind it up.
Mhm.
All right, so we'll see you guys next time on Dog for Thought. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.
bye.
Dog for Thought is written and hosted by me, Sarah Brown, co-hosted by Sophie Brown, produced, edited, and original music by Jacob Brown. Don't forget to like and subscribe.